Thank you very much, Ivan, and thank you for keeping your comments brief. That's great because it'll allow us more time for debate. I said I'm very pleased with the running order, but I feel there's one omission. I think someone from the council, we should have had someone from the council to defend their position, because I think our speakers have been on very much a common line and have expressed frustration with a lack of political will. But I think if I could maybe kick the Q&A off by asking Vice President Kallas, you've been challenged by Greg Archer from T&E to set realistic and challenging targets, and you have your initiative on clean fuels coming up. There's obviously a demand and appetite from certainly this policy community for very tough, very demanding targets, maybe quotas. Is that the approach you're going to be taking? Are you going to take the bull by the horns, as one of our speakers said? You don't need to press anything, it's fully automated.
White paper targets were the result of very, very complicated and contradictional discussions. So we definitely can look for some sub-targets in this clean transport initiative, but we don't want to change the big structure of targets written in this white paper, because there also must be some kind of stability. And if I say that everybody agreed these targets and this was an easy one, nobody believes me. And so it's clear that let's leave. These are quite radical targets concerning all aspects linked to these targets, which are in white paper. They are quite radical targets, and so I don't have any intention to propose very big changes in these basic targets. Will remain the same.
Good. Do we have some questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'm going to abuse my position. There's a microphone within the chair, within the armrest of the chair. If you could introduce yourself and your organisation, and if your question's directed at any of the speakers in particular. Thanks.
Hello, Sonja van Rensen for European Energy Review, and it's a question for Commissioner Kallas. It's following up really on the previous question, which was when you talk about a clean power for transport package by the end of the year, and you talk about the importance of promoting missing infrastructures, you also say there's a limit to how much the EU can do, but you can do something. Can you give us any more of an idea of what the EU can do? And are we only talking about electric cars here, or more broadly? Thank you.
You ask with this clean transport initiative, with all transport policy, what I
think she means in the clean transport.
Yeah, in the upcoming proposals that you will be issuing, the package on alternative fuels, and you spoke about the importance of infrastructure. You can promote it in certain ways. What kind of things can the EU do? And is it only electric infrastructure, or also things like infrastructure for LNG, no, for example?
We don't want to, how to say, we want in fact to make some clear preferences, but I think that the technological development must give to us the answers. What are the basic ideas? Of course, we promote the infrastructure for all filling stations. I have seen myself, we have opened electric this plug station in Brussels. I have visited many stations in different parts of Europe. So one thing is definitely the filling stations and promoting, and for this we have certain resources in our 10T network resources as well. So and liquid gas definitely is one very important part of this network. Then we of course promote, as I said before, various project developments of development of new engines and new technologies, also fuel technologies. We are promoting. We have various projects. We have motion project. We have in research and development, which is in fact transport policy part. So there are a lot of these details. We want to also to promote all research and development, which has intention to propose some new solutions. So this is probably a compact of various issues. We have resources in 10T network and or connecting Europe facility and research and development, and what can we do, then we will do.
Okay, Greg, did you want to come in on?
Yeah, briefly. I mean, it's quite important, I think, that we don't set ourselves sort of overly simplistic targets about numbers of refueling stations in each country or whatever it might be. Actually, what we've got to be doing is trying to create the market for the ultra-low carbon vehicles, whether it be electric or hydrogen, which is going to work for people and the way that they use their cars. So for me, we talked about earlier about the Commission doing more with urban mobility. So let's start to see whether there's things that could be done, for example, around creating shared ownership schemes, so that you can get a variety of people using one vehicle, getting high utilisation rates and one recharging point for that vehicle. So rather than just creating this massive infrastructure that's being used by a tiny minority of affluent people, let's actually start to give access to electric vehicles to people that otherwise couldn't afford that kind of mobility themselves. And let's start to think innovatively about how we develop this market, rather than thinking that we just have to replace the internal combustion engine with a battery, because frankly that isn't the way it's going to work.
Ivan, you want to come in?
I just would like to stress that we have always been talking about technology neutrality. We do not want to be dictated to what kind of technology we have to develop and what is the only technology. If there are realistic targets being set, let the industry decide how to get there. And let's get the industry a proper support. But the Clean Car Initiative clearly talks about technology neutrality, and that includes also the improvement in the existing internal combustion engines.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. So the gentleman in the, I would call that turquoise shirt, you may disagree. But
thank you, yeah. Bart Kaskermans from the European Commission, DG Energy. I have a question directed for Mr. El-Khadraoui. You mentioned the lack of political will. What would you see as the key matter causing this lack of political will, and how would you propose to tackle it? Thank you.
Well, that's a good question, difficult to answer. I think that, for example, when we speak about pricing measures that are tackling ordinary citizens, we have to be very careful. And I think that we need to really think how we can, instead of, let's say, sanction people, maybe reward people more. I think that's the way we should look at these issues, rather than to come up with a negative message, come up with a more positive message. That would be my general answer. But maybe also start with focusing on things that are more easy to tackle. I mean, that's also the reason why, for example, at the European level, when we speak about pricing, we start with heavy trucks, huh? Because there we have a competence in the first place as a European Union, but also that's a system that is able to adapt and to, as far as there is a level playing field, which is of course crucial. It doesn't make a difference, and you really can make changes in a short run if you have a good framework. And once you can prove then that it works and that the consequences are positive for the environment, for reducing accidents or whatever, I think you can really clearly, let's say, engage people and try also with small steps to start implementing these more difficult measures. But probably you should, when you speak about pricing, also then decrease maybe some other costs for the ordinary people. So you have to look, you have to have the overall picture of the transport cost of a citizen, and then see where we can increase and where we can decrease the costs of things.
And just to sort of put the same question in slightly different terms, I mean, you were a local politician. I mean, is transport policy one of the top 3 priorities when people vote, when people stop you on the marketplace in Leuven and
yeah,
say,
well,
get this sorted? Is it transport issues that are
well, probably
up there?
yes. Transport and mobility is a big issue, but each of us have a different approach. I mean, each of the citizens is thinking, looking at it from a different perspective. When you want others to change their behavior rather than yourself. Huh? That's often the case, and you will never satisfy everybody, because the cyclist is angry with the one with the car, and the one with the car is angry with the motorbike, etc. And at some point you are the cyclist, and the other part of the day you are the one who is sitting in the car. So it's a very complex issue, but nevertheless, obviously, it's possible to have a policy for the long run which reshapes the city and which makes it more sustainable. And sustainability is not only an issue of environment, but it's also an issue of quality of life, because a city with less cars is also a very nice city where you can walk in easily and go do shopping and enjoy life in cities. So it's a more it's about many things. Actually.
I would say it's a shame you're not Deputy Mayor of Brussels, because those of us who try and have a nice life in the city struggle with the transport mobility policies. But anyway, Commissioner Callas.
Yes, I just want to mention that I have experience of a local finance minister. So this is very well known issue. We had in Estonia such a rule that 75% of the revenues from excise tax on fuel must be invested in roads. And of course, I fought heavily against it, because I wanted this money to use for other purposes as well. But we also discussed already then, some 15 years ago, the issues of road pricing. And of course, my country is not a densely populated country, and there is not such a big congestion and such intensive traffic. But then was very clear that if we propose something in road charging, it must be this component from excise tax on fuel must be taken off or reduced. You cannot win politically without proposing a package. This is very important. It's very actually money talks, and fuel price, fuel produced from oil. You know what has happened. In 1973, I think that a liter of gasoline was some dollars only, and even less. And so it has tremendously increased, and it is for aviation. What we also the fuel price is a biggest motivator to invest in new engines. And for instance, the big engine producers say that 1 year 1% of fuel consumption down with new engines. So and this is a paramount importance. The price of fuel is so important for airlines that they invest a lot. So the price of fuel. Second is the financial gap, what I mentioned in my remarks. Everybody sees that the finances will be more and more scarce even for maintenance of infrastructure. So you need to propose, to have some proposal. But the practices in member states about the road pricing is a very different one. And in some countries, nobody has ever heard about the earmarking of revenues from excise taxes. It's a poorly fiscal tax, and very good fiscal tax, because it's a collection of this tax is a very good one, so very efficient one. So other countries are earmarking, other countries have, some countries have direct road charging, so the picture is very different, large variety, very diverse. And when we really think something what to do and to propose something. And Eurovignette discussion, what we, Mr. Hadraoui was very instrumental in this, and he remembers very well. It was so simple. The basic idea is to introduce a congestion element in road charging. The basic congestion element. What is the biggest problem for European transport? And who were in favor? Transit countries. Who were against? Countries who. My own country, Italy, Spain, Sweden, they formed a strong alliance for all this radical proposal. And so finally we had some modest achievement, but we still have the element now in this Eurovignette charging. But of course this is, and what another element concerning we are talking not about road charging as well, but we also, of course, we didn't mention such a big thing as railways. And we enjoy, of course, dealing with railway issues with Mr. Hadraoui as well, with the whole parliament. But there is again an issue where we need to introduce more transparency, because there is also the charging for the use of infrastructure is enormously different and in very many countries very obscure. But if we have more transparency and more clear concept concerning the road charging and concerning the user pay principle in this mode, we also must have this in other modes of transport, like in railways and also in aviation. If you think that all the charges for the using of airport services is something which is very transparent and very efficient and very clear, I think that it's not the right picture. So, but I only must say that it's very interesting and very promising area where we really are discussing some proposals which will help to reduce negative impact of transport. That's our idea.